Welcome into the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production available wherever you do your downloading and simulcast on your TV, Peterborough, Lindsay. Come down and hang out with us. We are currently located at the Capital PTBO at 370 George Street, and if you want to support the show, you can do so by making a donation at patreon.com/capitalptbo. We do have some new supporters, and those supporters, Mark Million and Matt Latour, are now on the Wheel of Win Nothing. Gentlemen, explain the wheel to those who are new to the program there, Mark.
Okay. So the Wheel of Win Nothing is something that everybody gets when you are a supporter on our Patreon platform. So we load it up in this fancy wheel that's now on screen, Matty, yes?
Yes, it is.
And you'll see now we've got the Fatal 4-Way here. And what we do is we spin the wheel. We put your name on the wheel as a supporter, whether you're in the $3 tier, the $20 tier, or somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. And then we spin it once. And whatever happens, you win absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And we have 4 combatants this week.
We do.
Yes.
2-time champion, the only ever champion, Jim Murray, might be in trouble.
I don't know. Jimmy's pretty confident. He was in this week. He's pretty confident. He likes
Mark,
his odds.
you're somebody who works in sales, but 50% growth week over week. You're gonna take that every time.
It's not bad.
My favorite business math equation ever. Give me a penny on the first day and double it every other day. You double it every day. By the end of the 30th day, by the end of the month, you'll have over $2 million.
See,
I can't even wrap my head around that.
You see that?
I've seen that. I've read it, and I've seen how the math works, and I still don't believe it.
Me neither.
So if I doubled it every week for 30 straight weeks, we'd have 2 million Patreon members. That's probably not sustainable for the Blackboard.
No.
Oh, we should have 8 next week. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Are we spinning this wheel?
Yeah, let's do it.
do it.
Spin it away.
Here we go. I keep saying we need music for this. I haven't added it yet. Oh, Jim!
Oh, that's a
Okay, now wait.
That's a
Jim Murray
photo.
was the winner!
Jimmy!
that was a photo finish between him and Dara Scholar.
That
really
is
was.
Crazy. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. One
Jimmy
second
by
here.
an eyelash.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can zoom in to
Oh
see how
yeah,
much
just
he won
barely.
by.
I see it.
a
It's like the
wheel.
goal line, right?
Yeah.
We can zoom in on the wheel. Hold
No,
on.
that was a QB sneak at the end there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see blue.
I like it. Yeah.
I see blue in
Yeah,
that arrow.
there's the photo finish.
Okay.
Jim Murray, 3-time champion.
We'll put it down in
Jim
the...
Murray, shout out again if you want to get your name on that wheel of win nothing. No, wheel of no winning. Is that right?
Wheel of Win Nothing. Read
Win
the graphic. Come on.
All you have to do is log on to patreon.com/capitalptbo. I was confident that I had it that time. For those who are new to the show, here's what's coming up on the program today. Who should be the American League most valuable player? A lot of people talking about that already. Will a Canadian make a deep run in Flushing Meadows, New York? And is Tom Brady really still the best football player in the world, according to NFL Network? The answer is yes. All of that, plus a new segment entitled The Record Machine, and our classic Mano a Mano showdown, which will focus on the NFL. We do, though, gentlemen, want to start with the Lakers and their pursuit for another Mann Cup championship. I got to ask you a question. Obviously, I'm decked out today. Got the hat, got the shirt.
Yes.
Come check out some great merchandise down here at the Capital PTBO. It's selling like hotcakes in advance of this monumental occasion. Are you feeling the fever, Mark? People coming in and out. Everyone wants to talk Lakers lacrosse.
I wish I had the confidence to say that I knew that was going to happen, because I didn't. But like the Lakers merchandise has been an absolute wagon. It gets great support here in Peterborough. Shout out to Imprinted Apparel and Clinton Smith, who continue to deliver great product. It's really good. It's very well supported, and obviously it helps. I mean, this time now you're standing at the foot of 4 straight, which is not a feat to be taken lightly, and it's the national championship, so it should be celebrated.
Matt, are you feeling the fever as somebody who's been actually attending the previous series?
Yeah, so I went to games 2, 4, and 6 of the MSL final against Six Nations. Game 2, it's so crazy to think that series could have been over in like 5 games, because they blew a lead in Game 2, but Game 4 at home they ran away with it, and then Game 6 they were behind the whole game until the third period, and once they took that lead, you just knew that it wasn't going anywhere. Another strong crowd of 3,500 at the Memorial Center. It feels like it was a bit of a sleepy season as far as, Lakers lacrosse goes because it took people a little bit to get back into the groove. But now, I know there's going to be bands playing in the parking lot pregame at the PMC. Like it's in full flight now. Yeah,
that's awesome. And consensus opinion among the analysts that I've chatted with, and that is that the East continues to be superior to the West. So the expectation is, we know stranger things have happened, for sure, and we've seen that play in time and time out. There's a reason why they play the game, but I think Peterborough has to go in as a pretty decisive favorite against Langley.
Yeah, they do. Just even taking the guys up front, I did a bit of a deep dive today on Langley Thunder.
Who had a great season.
They had a great season, but they played a full game. A full season. They played 18 games. I think their top goal scorers got 22 goals. By comparison, Holden's got 26 or something, and Hogarth's got 22. So for Peterborough, I think they're going to be able to match them just fine. Dylan Kinnear, he's the guy to watch. Dane Doby also was the MVP for WLA playoff round. But I just don't. It doesn't seem like on paper that they've got the horses. And I think in goal, if this was the Toronto Maple Leafs, it would be a goalie controversy, right?
Yeah. So they've got the equivalent of Vasilevsky and Carey Price in net right now because Matt Vince barely even played in that final series, and I think he set the record last year for most saves in an NLL season. But Doug Buchan has been so good.
The guy's undefeated. He hasn't lost the game yet. Oh, I guess game. I don't know. I don't like
the overtime game. Yeah.
Well, he gets pulled, and
but the Johnny Shooter Davis Award, he won the MVP for the playoffs.
MVP for the playoffs. Yeah,
and I didn't realize how big he was because they're lacrosse goalies. They look big. He's actually 285 pounds. He's a big dude.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see it go. I'd like to see it go 5-6 games. Get the revenue for that. Certainly for the team. That's important. That's what makes the whole thing work. But you might want to go early because I don't think it's going to, in the words of Yogi Berra, it gets early late around here.
Yes. I love that. The return of Curtis Dixon.
Yes.
This is somebody that was such a popular player during his time here in Peterborough. It's somebody who was very coveted. Ownership went out, and they grabbed him. And, of course, his nickname was Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually have the opportunity to do a little bit of an interview with him coming up, so I'm excited about that just to get his thoughts about coming back to Peterborough. But, man, he's a fun guy, and I really enjoyed his time, and he was a big part of some pretty spectacular teams. So it'll be good to see Curtis Dixon, even if he's wearing the enemy colors.
This is a rematch. Langley Thunder did not play for the 2012 Mann Cup as well, so against Peterborough. And
Lakers in 6?
And they got beat, correct. So I'm sure that Peterborough will be happy to deliver again. But and also, shout out Langley Thunder. Update the Wikipedia page. Your history goes to 2014, man.
And that's it?
That's it.
They just said forget about it? We don't want to do the last decade?
We're done. So, anyways, Wikipedia, your folks in Langley, get out there and support your Wikipedia page.
I don't know what I have to do, but the WLA also has a Burnaby Lakers. I need a Lakers Mann Cup one of these years.
That would be
Rough Riders, great cup.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
You know what I love about the Peterborough Lakers? And we can talk about depth of field and maybe some of the advantages that Six Nations in Peterborough has, but I love, and it's the only time in my recent fandom, it really is championship or bust. Going into a season, we won the MSL, but we lost in the Mann Cup. Well, that's kind of a failure.
Yeah.
We didn't make it to the Mann Cup. That's an ultimate failure.
Yeah.
And you just get this bravado. And I think from an organization, top down, when that expectation is in there, it's almost like Alabama in NCAA football.
Yeah.
You think they're happy when they would go to the Peach Bowl? No. That wasn't a good season for them.
No.
They want to be in the playoff, and they want to be in the BCS title game, and they want to win it, and that's where the bar is.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen from the Lakers going back, especially the last, 4 seasons. I guess it's not over 4 years, but 4 seasons, right?
Yeah. And Teddy Higgins, obviously, he was the guy that started the ball here in kind of the latest rejuvenation of the Lakers in the last 20, 25 years. And thankfully he did, or thankfully somebody did. And I mean, I know Teddy would have put a lot of money in, getting these guys to work and getting these guys to come in here and do what it took to win this thing. But it is very much like that now. Peterborough is that Alabama of the lacrosse world, where if you don't make the OLA final at the minimum, holy smokes, like what happened here?
You'll never see an OHL team that was upset after winning the OHL but losing in the Memorial Cup. Like, obviously they'll be upset in the moment, but
Sure.
the next year it won't be like, oh, last year was a failure. For the Lakers, like, they see it as a failure if they don't win the Canadian championship.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, speaks to how good the program is. And, some of these guys on the Lakers are getting a bit older, too. Like, you got to think of how many more of these long runs they could have in them.
The only thing that makes me a bit, and I won't say, not disappointed or sad or anything like that, but a little bit skeptical is the health of the league when you have one franchise that dominates, has the deeper pocket because they can get the support at the gate, primarily because they can get the support at the gate. Is that good for the league?
No, if there wasn't Six Nations, which I consider to be a legit counterbalance,
Yeah.
it's tough.
But they're I got here on the screen, the last Man Cup champions. Last time the representative from Ontario in the Man Cup wasn't Six Nations or Peterborough, it was 2011.
Sure.
Is that Brampton?
It was Brampton that beat Langley.
Sure. Johnny Tavares.
Yeah, Brampton had quite the history. If you go back in actual chronicle MSL champions, I mean, there was a big Brampton-Brooklyn run.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't always...
They won Man Cup 2011, 09, 08.
I'm spoiled because ever since I've been here, it's been 3,000 a night at the PMC, and the Lakers have been favorites. It wasn't always the case when you go back, right?
Right.
There were times where that was not the case at all.
You go back to the early 90s, Peterborough Quakers playing as the Peterborough Lakers when the Quaker Oats used to it's tough. It's hard when but again, everything ebbs and flows. So that 70s and 80s, that it was meteoric. You had so many of the stars of the sport played here. And the OLA would do things to make things very difficult. When they won the Command Cup in 78, they limited how many of the pro players that they could have on the team, but the Western representative could load up. They could have as many as they wanted. Peterborough still won, still let them have it in Game 7 in the all-time attendance record at the Memorial Center.
Man Cup tradition, you kind of hit on it. This is obviously the top trophy in lacrosse in Canada, but this is an old trophy, man. They've been competing for this for a really, really long time, and I think sometimes that gets lost too.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
First
is
Man Cup,
prestigious.
1910.
Is that right?
Yeah, 1910, and it was a field lacrosse trophy, correct?
Yep. It was field lacrosse until...
It was like 32 or something.
Exactly 32.
Yeah. So 1932, and
Did
then
your homework today.
They retired it in 85, and then 2004 Lakers. 2004 Man Cup. I know exactly where I was when it happened, which is not one of those moments I just happen to know. My son was born that night, and me and Dr. Peter Hughes, shout out Peter, we sat at the nurse's station and we watched it. And then the boys had a bonfire that year and wrecked the trophy.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I think that'll be in there. That'll be one of the footnotes. 2004 Man Cup trophy destroyed in a bonfire by Peterborough Lakers.
Cup mishaps. Here we go.
There you go.
What year? 2004?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in 2004, the Peterborough Lakers won the Man Cup during a celebratory gathering of the replica trophy.
Yeah.
It was dropped in a bonfire and got destroyed. They have also broken it in 99. The Shamrocks broke it during a post-game victory lap, and it was stolen from the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 1989.
It's like a Nancy Drew story.
Yeah.
Or the Hardy Boys or
Hardy
something.
Boys.
There was fears that it was melted down for its gold content, but it turned up a few weeks later with a small chunk cut out of the rim.
There you go.
Just enough to bring into the bank and not be suspicious.
Sure. You can't have a trophy that's 110 years old and not have a little bit of that.
Couple stories.
Every year the Stanley Cup gets dented.
Yeah.
For sure.
That is true. Let's look at emails. By the way, Man Cup gets underway September the 9th.
Correct.
I know ticket packages are currently on sale. I believe single game tickets will go on sale September 7th.
Yeah.
So right now they're kind of giving first right of refusal to season ticket holders and also those who want to buy all 7 games potentially. And single game tickets. If you want to check out more of that information, of course, go to their website. You can also, cheap plug, ptbotoday.ca. You can go and go and visit that website as well. Emails, and this has you
got mail.
The Docs Box, which we are not doing today, but got great feedback last week. So I made a recommendation for a sports documentary that you should watch. Last week, it was 42-1, and I got an email that says, Jordan, watched 42-1 last week. Great flick. I love anything to do with Mike Tyson, and I absolutely love the new Docs Box segment. That was Aaron in the 705. So there you go.
Beautiful.
42-1. Go and check it out. Matt, you've been on a 30 for 30 binge over there just because I kind of brought it to your attention that Disney Plus in Canada had started trickling through some of those.
Which I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I watched 4 days in October, or
Good
4
one.
nights in October.
Great
whatever
one.
it is. Yeah, when the Red Sox, spoiler alert, came back from 3-0 down. Jordan rides the bus. About him going to play baseball, which is my favorite one because the greatest of all time would never quit his sport to go play another sport.
Terry Francona.
Yeah, that's
Featured
right.
prominently
Terry's in that one a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Tito.
Fellas, Carson writes in, says, who should be the American League most valuable player? We'll do the Blue Jays temperature check in a second here, but this is one of the more compelling stories in Major League Baseball. There was a time long ago before the sort of prevalence of sabermetrics where it was common thought that if your team wasn't in the mix, if your team wasn't competitive, if you weren't on a good team and you weren't going to the playoffs, you would have that held against you.
Yes.
That is not the case anymore because the modern thinking of sabermetrics, and it sort of makes sense, is in baseball, one person, I mean, you could literally bat 450 and be on a last place team because you're only going up to the plate one every 9 times.
Yeah, that's
sort of
right.
makes sense. So it's not just the winner mentality in baseball that applies, for instance, in basketball, or if you're a goaltender in hockey, or if you're a quarterback, where you have maybe your fingerprints are more on the game than what they are in Major League Baseball. So you got Shohei Ohtani, who's, I think, was he 8th or 9th in strikeouts? He's top 15 in ERA as a pitcher on, a not very good Angels team.
Yeah.
And he's also hitting extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Aaron Judge, who's going to take a run at the American League home run record and what I think is the Major League home run record, and that is 61, Roger Maris. So you're sort of like, okay, traditional thinking would be competitive team, Yankees are in the playoffs, their slugger's going to take a run at this major record, and then the other side is, well, okay, don't hold the team's record against them, but this guy's literally hitting and pitching at elite levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the level of which you have to measure Ohtani. I watched last night's Yankees-Angels game in LA. The LA people, I mean, Yankees fans travel well, but every time Judge got up, people loved it. Mm-hmm. And Judge isn't a one-trick pony.
Nope.
I mean, the guy, he has 52 home runs. He's got 14 stolen bases. He's like 290
That's for
hitter.
a good average,
yeah. So he can do, and he can play defense. He can play center field, which isn't easy. Pretty good all-around metric. But the last guy to lead his team in at-bats and innings pitched in the same year is a guy named Jim Devlin. And Jim Devlin played for the Louisville Braves in 1876.
Oof. You're going back a ways for that one.
The next,
Why does this feel like a trivia question for later today?
the next year, Jim Devlin gets caught up in the boys were caught throwing exhibition games for money.
Oh, okay.
So they booted him out of baseball.
The original point shaving scandal.
The original, yeah. So the boys wanted to get paid a few shekels to get on the exhibition tour. So the owner shut down the team. Jim Devlin then became a police officer. But he's the so this will be for the next generation, because now that there's an Ohtani at the MLB level, there's going to be Shohei Ohtani's at every level.
Yeah.
They're going to try to keep that two position star.
It's being proven that you can do it. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you go back a little ways, they wouldn't even let you try. And one of the examples would be John Olerud, who when he came to the Toronto Blue Jays in his college season, I think he was like 16-0, like a sub-2 ERA. He was an amazing pitcher. But conventional wisdom was, if you have a good hitter, we're going to make you a good hitter because it's harder to find good hitting than it is good pitching.
Yeah.
And that's a theory that goes all the way back to Babe Ruth, right?
Yeah.
Who was an all-star, one of the best pitchers in the entire league. And they said, hey, you can hit home runs? Okay, we'll have you do that for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think you're going to see a total spinoff with Shohei Ohtani.
So, like, and hear me out here for a second. Let it breathe for a minute. Where can he win the MVP every year because he's a two-position star?
It's kind of where, like, because if he routinely gets 12 or 13 wins with a sub-3 ERA and then hits really well,
what's
how
Aaron
do you
Judge?
argue against it?
What does Aaron Judge's slider look like? Guarantee it's not in the same realm.
We won the MVP last year, winning 9 games.
That's what I mean. You're gonna win he's gonna win every year. So
I think I'm okay with it because, and I know I'm going back to the LeBron thing, but like my biggest gripe about the NBA is MVP fatigue, and that's LeBron should probably have 10 MVPs.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
But he doesn't because people don't want to vote for him because he's won already. That's my fear with Ohtani. Like if he rattles off 6 straight MVPs, I'm fine with it as long as he deserves them.
I think there has to be, and this has never happened before, but going back to the AL MVP race, there is only 2. Like, it's only Shohei and Judge. Like, Giordano Alvarez, whatever his name is, he's 20 home runs behind Judge. It's over.
Yeah.
So, how can he should be looked at within. I don't have a problem if Ohtani is offensively the best player and you give him the American League MVP. I also don't have a problem if he's the best pitcher and he gets the Cy Young. I don't have a problem with that. But when you have a Cy Young, which is the MVP for the pitching position, and you are considering him for the most valuable player in the game, I know what the wording says, most valuable to your team and everything else, and that's what Ohtani is. Most valuable to your team, you're 14 games out of the wild card, man.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
How good's the team?
If the Angels played every game like they did this last series against the Blue Jays,
sure,
they'd be terrifying.
Then they won opening night against the Yanks. They got pumped last night, but
an off note, I didn't know Bo Bichette finished 11th in MVP voting last year.
I didn't know that either.
It's pretty goofy after like the top 5.
Well, it's the same this year. You go to bodog.net and check out who's at plus 20,000.
Dansby Swanson.
Well, sure.
Probably.
Sure.
I can make an argument for Aaron Judge on 2 things, because I think what you said is right. I mean, if you're an elite level hitter, elite level pitcher, soon I think that'll turn into just sort of a novelty where people will get used to it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But
which is hard to imagine.
Which is crazy. Aaron Judge actually leads in WAR at 7.7, so if you put stock in WAR, I think, in my opinion, as a traditionalist, when you're a slugger who's challenging historic home run levels with the New York Yankees,
sure,
who are, maybe they've trailed off a little bit, but still high expectation, pennant race. I think that's tough for me to go against.
Yeah.
That's just tough for me to go against. That's all. And I understand exactly what you're saying, but I think that's what I'm going to revert back to. Right?
I think we talked about this on an earlier episode, like way when we first started. It was like, how can you be the MVP on a bad team? But like baseball's maybe the one sport you can do it.
And I remember the exact point in time where I think all of that threw by the wayside, and the idea of the new way of thinking, if I refer to it casually as the sabermetric way of thinking, came into play, which was when Felix Hernandez won the Cy Young Award with the Seattle Mariners, who were a terrible team, and he only had 13 wins. And it was like inconceivable at one point that you'd even acknowledge his greatness because of the team he was on, because he wasn't putting up gaudy wins numbers. That's what I remember being like, oh, wow, we're shifting. We're shifting big time in thinking. And the writers are getting younger. The understanding of the game is a little bit different. Like right now, nobody cares. Like nobody cares about RBIs. Like I was watching Paul Goldschmidt, who's right in the thick of the NL MVP race. He could win the first. There hasn't been a National League Triple Crown winner since the 1930s.
That's right.
Joe Medwick.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen a lot in the senior circuit, and he is challenging that. And I saw a whole bunch of people being like, really? We care about average and RBIs now? Like, it's like, yeah, we kind of do for a really long time. But to the new way of thinking, it would be more on-base percentage and runs generated times 3 or whatever.
No, there's still got to be, you still got to romance the stone on the
I
Triple
still
Crown.
think RBIs are important because, I mean, you still need to drive in the runs.
It's still a production metric.
I agree.
How many guys in relation to? I would have liked them to come up with a metric of some kind, like RBIs in relation to ducks remaining on the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Like how many guys did you leave out? So you've got 114 RBIs, but how many guys did you leave on base? Did you leave 30?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's that? A 3-to-1? Maybe a 3-to-1 is a decent metric when it comes right down to it. You know, for every one guy that's on, or every 3 guys that are on base, you're driving one of them in. That might end up being actually. Very well.
You just like changed baseball for me. You're the new Billy Bean.
Well,
I always said in
should
basketball,
have played one on TV.
A stat that should be tracked a lot more is passes that turn into assists. So
Yeah,
you
the
pass it
hockey assists.
Like the hockey assist. You pass to the guy who gets the assist. I always thought that should be a stat that's talked about more.
Can we do a Toronto Blue Jays temperature check?
Oh, it's
Coming out of the weekend, not so good. Righted the ship against the lowly Chicago Cubs.
Yes.
how's that taste? I know you're a big Cubs fan.
I am a big Cubs fan, and not great. Let the first one slip away big time. But
Yeah, big time.
where are we at? Are we okay? Are we feeling all right? They've slipped in the playoff picture. It's going to be a grind. You know it.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to see warts. It's starting to look like maybe Charlie Montoyo wasn't the ultimate going to point your finger at him. I'm seeing lackluster defense
Big time.
regularly.
Yeah.
I was watching a game the other day where Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who I love, don't get me wrong, but he just, gets the ball thrown to him, just straight up misses it.
Yes.
Like something I would see at Bowers Park when I'm playing on Monday night.
Oh, boy.
Sure. I think that this is a young group, defensively, yeah. And now I think we're maybe, maybe those things are, maybe the Bo Bichette throws are swelling and the Vlad misses are getting swollen when we see them twice a week. Very difficult. But I think that this team, like the fact that we've got the 3, how many wild cards now? We got 3?
3.
3 wild cards. So if the
As of recording this, Toronto's in the 3rd wild card spot, 3 games up on Baltimore and Minnesota.
So what would that be? Tampa and Seattle would have, they would get the 3 games series and Toronto would have the play-in? Is that how that works? Like it's so confusing now. It's so backwards.
It's a little bit strange.
So I think that Toronto would have to play Baltimore in a 1 to get into the number 1 slot against Houston and get pumped. But this is, if you didn't have this, Matt, if you only had the winner of the East and the 1 wild card, well, it's this Jays team would be exactly what you thought. Run
you
of the
got
mill.
a few more outs now. You're right, for sure. Pun intended.
Pun intended.
See, the Vladdy misses at first I'm fine with because I've seen him do the splits and make enough of those catches.
Absolutely.
It kind of makes up for it.
Sure.
Bo's got to figure it out, though. Like, I don't know why you haven't tried putting Espinal at short. But Bo's got to figure something out because it's getting bad. I see Chapman's been working with him a lot, but like it's getting bad.
I would agree.
One last baseball note. Shout out to the LA Dodgers. They were the first team to 90 wins. I saw that they went 41-9 over a 50-game stretch. And nobody talks about it because they're just so perennially great.
They're just the Dodgers.
It's just the Dodgers. That's just the way they work.
Their magic number is 7. Like it's already the Padres lose all week and the Dodgers win all week and the division is over.
Yeah.
And it'll be over on the 8th of September.
Which is insane.
The Dodgers, yeah, they've got 18 more wins than the Padres.
Yeah.
Crazy.
90-38.
90
I'm reading
and
that as we
38.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 703 win percentage, that's pretty rare territory.
Yeah.
Anyways, a lot of fun baseball notes. And, of course, we'll be covering the lead up to October. As you guys know, I'm a big tennis fan.
Mm-hmm.
We're expecting a good showing from Canadians at Flushing Meadows. I feel like we are. I know the major storyline is the Serena Williams.
Yes.
I've seen some people tossing around not just greatest of all time female tennis player, but greatest all time, like just overall athlete. Can't get there. Won't get there. But I want to see her have a very strong competitive showing.
Sure.
That's what I want to see.
They certainly treated like the opening round was going to be the coronation. Like they expected her to 3 sets and you're out type thing. That's what's so great about sports.
Can you guys sit? Because one of my favorite sports times of the year is the U.S. Open because it's the one major that plays under the lights.
Yes.
Where it can be 1 o'clock in the morning and you're watching a 5-setter.
Yeah.
And I stay locked right in. I said that the other day, and producer Dan Malta almost fell off his chair. He said, he couldn't watch tennis for more than 10 minutes. I love it.
Yeah.
And I stay locked in more probably than just about anybody. And the under the lights romantic part of New York, it's always a grittier crowd.
Yes,
you don't
that's
mind
right.
getting involved a little bit more.
Absolutely.
It's greasy New York tennis. It's not Wimbledon white. It's
That's
not
right.
Roland Garros.
Yeah.
And I love that.
It's Johnny Mac and Jimmy Connors.
Johnny, Jimmy, Pete, Andre.
Sure. Yeah.
The last American ever to win a Grand Slam, Andy Roddick,
Andy Roddick. Yeah.
2003. So anyways, I am keeping my eye on the U.S. Open there, Matt.
I don't want to say how I think Canadians are going to do because there's a good chance by the time this goes up that Layla could be out because she plays about an hour, or actually right now when we're recording.
Samsonova she's got.
Yep. And then Andreescu plays later tonight, so it'll be old by the time I say it. But the Canadian women, they're promising for sure. I mean, Felix is obviously great. But like Fernandez is exciting. And I still think Andreescu, she's young enough that I think she can maybe right the ship. She's had injury problems, though.
She's been a wagon at the Open, 11-1.
Yeah, that's her best tournament, easily.
I think Nadal and Medvedev are the obvious hurdles, but you've already seen Tsitsipas go out. You know, Zverev had to withdraw.
Right.
Not a lot of proven talent outside of Medvedev and Nadal. So I'm always rooting for Felix Auger-Aliassime to make that next step. Shapovalov, he's just had a terrible, terrible year.
Yeah.
On the court and sort of behaviorally on the court that I haven't loved.
Yeah.
And I think that's just frustration in total. So
remember when those two guys broke into the scene and every media person had to figure out how to say their names?
Yes.
Same thing with Andreescu.
I was calling him Milos Raonic for a really long time.
Raonic and Eliassime.
Yeah.
I feel like Felix, though, he was semifinals last year at U.S. Open. Like, he plays well here. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
That seems a little high.
I don't think so. I think he was
I feel
there.
like that's high.
Best
You
finish?
do?
No. Semifinal last year.
He made this. Wow.
yeah.
Talk about like blow my
In
mind.
2021, he made semifinals of U.S. Open, quarterfinals at Wimbledon.
Yeah, like he's had a couple of decent rounds, a couple decent goes.
So he needs one here because I don't think he's gone deep at all this year.
No.
Super deep.
Quarterfinal at the Australian, fourth round of the French.
Yeah, no, you gotta climb in
Doesn't
further.
get me going.
No.
Are you gentlemen ready to debut a new segment? It's entitled Record Machine. I haven't told either of you what exactly the record machine entails, but we will have a fancy sound effect that will go with this at some point.
Yes.
When I throw Record Machine at you, Matt, what do you think this segment is about?
Wayne Gretzky. Just Wayne Gretzky.
That's it. Just playing old Wayne Gretzky
maybe
tracks.
Wilt Chamberlain.
A human record machine. For me, I like the idea of you put the coin in the jukebox here of the record machine, and it spits one back at you, like records that maybe could never be surpassed in sports.
You guys are both fairly on the money here. The record machine is each week I'm going to pick 3 sporting records, and we decide 1, 2, 3 which of the records is most likely to stand the test of time.
Okay.
So
I like
that's
it.
where we're at right here.
Okay.
So you mentioned Wayne Gretzky. Yes, he's going to be on this list. Here's our 3 candidates, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3 and rank them in the order in which we think that they may be broken. Wayne Gretzky's 215 points in a single NHL season. That's category number 1. Number 2, Matt, you said Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain's 50.4 points per game in 61-62. And the third one, we'll go back to baseball. Barry Bonds, 120 intentional walks in a season.
Oh my gosh.
Those are our 3 choices. And now we have to dig into the weeds and try and figure it out. I will come out and say that I don't believe any of those have a realistic shot, but I'm not going to cop out. I'm going to do the ranking here.
I think I got Gretzky third because we've seen McDavid put up for a brief time a 200-point pace, and that makes me think it could be done. Now, doing that over 82 games is crazy, but I think out of all of these, like that's the one that we might see the most.
Nobody, just to counter that, nobody has gotten 140 points in a season since 95-96, going back almost 30 years.
Right.
Not even 140. And 140 is a long way from 215.
Oh, big time.
So that's where I would say, okay. And then in the history of the entire sport, the closest to the 215 by somebody not named Wayne Gretzky is the 199 by Mercier, who was a unicorn.
Of course, yeah.
The most by somebody not Lemieux or Gretzky, knowing this as a Red Wing fan, Yzerman 155. And again, you're talking about a long way between that and 215.
Yeah,
so McDavid was on the shortened season. He was on a 154-point pace, which is still 50 points away, mind you.
Long way.
I think if the Calgary Flames have a bad enough goalie and he plays in that division long enough.
Oh, no.
Maybe.
Let's save that for an NHL take. Let's clip that like Alvin DeLauro here. Let's clip that and we'll replay it because no one's going to run a train on Calgary goaltending this year. Not with Sutter around.
Okay.
And Markstrom. Okay, fine. Let's go back.
Wilt Chamberlain, 50.4 points per game. Let's workshop this one a little bit. This one actually is going to end up being my number 3.
Mm-hmm.
The next closest person in the history of the NBA to Wilt Chamberlain, not named Wilt Chamberlain, is Michael Jordan, 37.1. We did see James Harden at 36.8 or 9.
Yeah.
We did see Kobe Bryant, 35.9. There is a big difference between 36 and 50, I grant you. That being said, with the evolution of the game, 3 points, more prevalent, maybe there's some freaky Steph Curry times 4 guy who comes out and is just like, I'm going to, literally, the computer is telling me I need to shoot 45 of these shots a game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hit a certain percentage. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to rack up huge numbers.
I think you could have replaced Wilt with Michael's 37-1 because I think 37-1 in today's game, I think it's competent of the 50.4 points per game average from 60 years ago.
Harden had a 36.1 3 years ago.
Yeah, so I think at 37-1, it would be entirely doable, like the age of iso ball and this sort of thing, and a guy like Harden's going to do it, right? If he was going to do it, it was going to be somebody like him.
I don't even think it's a guy like Harden. I think it's like a Klay Thompson. Like a guy that scored 60 points and had 11 dribbles one game.
It'll be like the next version of, I'm telling you, the next version of Steph Curry or Ray Allen maybe, who just shows up and says, this is what I'm going to do.
But 50-point games in the NBA, there have been probably
not super common.
No. Like since Michael's left, there's probably been less than 50 games where guys have hit 50 points.
A 50-point game is a big deal, let alone 82 of them.
Yes. So this one for me is a number 3 for me. I can't get here. There's no way. Not in today's day.
So I'm going to say of those, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say of the records we just talked about, I think that's the most likely one to go. But again,
you think that's the most likely to get broken?
Yeah.
Wilt?
Yeah.
No.
I think so.
What's more likely, do you think? A guy scoring 50 points for 82 games or a guy scoring 2.5 points for 82 games?
Oh my gosh.
I just broke down the numbers and you guys clearly didn't listen. There was somebody within 13 points of this mark. Okay?
13
There's
points.
somebody
There's
within
been nobody-
1 point of the other one.
What do you mean? 1
Mario
point?
Lemieux.
No. 199 versus 215 is not 1 point. 16.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I thought you meant past 200 points.
You think it's more likely that somebody breaks the Gretzky record
Yes.
than Wilt Chamberlain?
Yes.
100 times over.
No
100%. Gretz did it in 80. Somebody could 82 games. Connor's got the wheels to be able to do it. He's got the legs. You're
Right.
telling me that there's going to be a guy that's going to hit 50 points or better a night for 82?
In the load management era?
Oh my gosh.
I just told you nobody in 30 years has even got 140.
But
I hear you.
They're making pads smaller. They're making it easier to score. We had more goals in the NHL last year than ever.
McDavid's a
And
general.
still no one came close.
Okay, but look at the kid in the postseason. I mean, the kid was going to press Gretzky's 51.
That is true.
Which is also a crazy record.
So Connor's the only guy. He's the only guy that would even have a remote shot.
Or Slavkovsky in his rookie year. But
We're talking about which 3 guys are going to climb Everest here. You know, like Wiltz is that's not possible. Like no chance.
I think of those ones it is. Now, we haven't touched on the Barry Bonds one, and this one's a little inside. Barry Bonds, 120 intentional walks in one season. Now, when you hear that, you go, okay. But when you go further into it,
Yeah, right.
The record before him was Willie McCovey, 45.
40. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
45.
That's a pretty crazy one, too.
For me, this is the one that can be broken, Barry Bonds.
But people don't, even if you look at like an Aaron Judge, like right now, the MLB leader is Pete Alonso, 14.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of the mindset to intentionally walk.
I think I'm going least likely to most likely. I'm going Bonds, Chamberlain, Gretzky. Or most likely to least likely, yeah.
Most likely
To be broken, or not be broken.
Most likely you're saying which one?
I think the most likely to get broken is Gretzky.
Oh.
And then second would be
That's insane.
Chamberlain and the Bonds. The closest guy to Bonds ever is also Barry Bonds with 68.
Yeah, I know. So erase that. Like, look at someone like Pujols, right? Like, he got 40 one year.
40,
I think
44.
44.
And 38.
Yeah. I think what you have to look at it here is this is a record that one time it can be done. Bonds was in the middle of that 01 to 04 stretch where he was unstoppable. Right? The cream in the clear.
They decided we're just not going to pitch to this guy.
Right.
Miguel Cabrera at his peak got 32.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think if you take situationally, the Giants are in the World Series conversation there. If you have the right sort of games inside that last 60-day stretch where you're in a sport now where there's more wild cards than you had back in the early 2000s.
You think there's going to be a Billy Bean Jr. who comes in and says, this is a guy and we're just going to walk this guy. And then just that'll be the mentality.
So let's say that in this generation, it's Mike Trout. So Trout's 29, 30 years old. Let's say he ages like Barry. He gets to 36, 37, starts smashing them into McCovey's Cove. Fine.
His record is 25.
Okay. But Trout is also at 35 years old. If he becomes that generational dominant ball player, what'll happen here is that somebody will come on and say it's actually, you'll have a Billy Bean style. You'll have a small ball guy that'll say it's actually more to our advantage to put an aging Mike Trout on base who doesn't run well than it is to have him smash these two guys, the guys on second and third, into home plate. So let's walk them.
But pinch runners are also a thing.
Well, pinch runners are only a thing until you get on base. You're still better off giving Trout the intentional walk, getting him to first, and then bringing whoever you want. You bring Rendon in or whoever, Rengifo or whatever, to run for the guy? Sure.
Yeah, but nobody's done that with Pujols.
This is Albert Pujols isn't. He's not in the race.
He's got like 10 home runs in the last 6 hours.
He's 42. Like, he's not a threat. It's not. Go back to Bonds. Bonds' threat. He's hitting 70. He was a generational talent before the cream in the clear. This guy would put more. This guy opened up more Gap stores than anybody else in North America. Trust me.
I think on base percentage is too valued. I don't think this is ever getting broken.
In this one, you don't need to have an unbelievable talent for an unbelievable amount of time to be able to do it. That's why it's it. You have to be able to fill the net to get Gretz. And you have to be able to shoot at a meteoric rate to get Wilt. You don't for Barry. That's why it's one.
You just have to be so scared. 100.
You have to be the most feared man, yes.
I'll say this right now. What's the date? The 31st at 6:43 p.m. Nobody's ever hitting 100 again in the season.
Well, the fact it's only happened once in the history. Now, I should clarify that intentional walks only go back to 1955. So you're not incorporating.
Only the last 70 years
I
there's only been one?
Hey, we deal in facts here. It doesn't include the Roots and Garrett.
Yeah, the 27 Yankees, sure.
I'm assuming at that point they would just lump them into just ordinary walks. So here we go. I'm going to give it to you, and it's the correct answer. Wayne Gretzky's is the most unbreakable.
Shut up.
Wayne's is.
Shut up.
Barry's is number 2. Wilt's is number 3. Wilt's is number 3. And you guys are stuck on he has to score 50 like every single night. Not necessarily the case. You throw in like
no, you're right. He might hit 70 one night.
He might have a 100-point night, so he only has to get 25 the next night.
Yeah.
He might throw in,
It's happened one time in history.
17 or 18 65s.
Debatable.
Yeah.
And you're fine.
Okay. You need 17
You're
or
fine.
18 65s, and then you need 60 35s. Pretty good. Not too bad.
Have a shot at it.
You've got a shot.
Hear me out. You only need 41 100-point games and then 41 25-point games.
I don't do the math.
Because every
but I'll
guy
follow
hits
you there,
25
big cat.
points every night.
Yeah, we're going to get Brett Black on that math. I'm not sure.
Do the math.
But
The average of 125.
okay. How about this?
Take it easy. You're breaking my
Hold
brain
on.
here.
Yeah.
I'm breaking my own brain.
Right.
Yeah, you're done.
Let's turn this mic off.
Barry Bonds, you only need to have one intentional walk every other night to get 3/4 of the way there.
I'm assessing this purely based on the discrepancy of each, right?
Sure.
Like when you go Barry Bonds,
No, I think
when
he
you
is.
go Barry Bonds 120 and the next closest guy is 45, that's a huge gap. When you go 215 and then you go 199,
It's not a big gap.
it's not a big gap, but
And you
it's
think
also
that's the most unbreakable?
I think the most
And you go
well
155.
different era, and we know it's changed. We know goaltending's better, defense is better, systems are better. I do grant you scoring is up, but when you say nobody's even scored 140 points in 30 years, tends to think that anybody getting in the history of the NHL, which goes back more than 100 years, one guy has scored 200 points.
in the history of in the last 70 years of baseball, one guy's gotten more than 60 intentional walks in a season.
Yeah.
And it's the same guy that did it 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, no one's coming close.
And I think when you go to James Harden, he puts in 36. Look, again, the addendum, I don't think any of these records are going to be broken.
Yeah.
But that's not how we play Record Machine.
That's right.
We got to put our name on the list.
I already know this is going to be this week's TikTok,
right.
and it's going to be impossible to try to
Fire.
cut together.
Okay, Matt, give me your rankings.
My final rankings: most unbreakable, Barry Bonds; second, Wilt Chamberlain; most likely to be broken, Wayne Gretzky.
Mine. The most difficult to break will be Wilt Chamberlain. Wayne Gretzky at 2. The easiest is Barry Bonds.
That's how we do Record Machine. We're going to, that was fun. There was a lot
I
to
liked it.
unpack
That was
with
good.
that one, eh?
My brain hurts.
Right out of the
Way
guts.
too many numbers.
Sports oddities. Mark, you told me you had a heck of a story.
I've got one. Shout out Dan Clark at CBS. And Dan and I are not boys by any means. I mean, I'm sure if you knew me, maybe there'd be a shot at
Might
it.
be friends, yeah.
Maybe. Dan Clark fires this tweet out live. Beautiful. August 29th, 2001.
Oh, I saw this. Yeah.
Serena Williams wins at the U.S. Open. Albert Pujols hits a home run. Vladdy Guerrero Sr., Craig Biggio, and Dante Bichette all get a hit. August 29th, 2022, 21 years later. Serena Williams wins at the Open. Albie hits a home run. And Guerrero Jr., Kevin Biggio, and Bo Bichette all get a hit.
That's insanity.
Pretty
Come
crazy.
on. That's how you know that we're living in a simulation. 100%. Because Kevin Biggio getting a hit, that's the simulation part. That's the hard thing to believe.
Hey-oh.
Where's the rim shot? Psh, psh.
Pretty good.
I got the womp womp. 1 second.
There we go.
There we go.
You guys ready to do Mano-y-Mano Showdown?
Let's do it.
Oh my gosh.
Mano-y-Mano Showdown in honor of Tom Brady being named the #1 player in the NFL's top 100, edging Aaron Donald. I want to know, you guys, how many yearly yards leaders passing you know. So we're going to
0.
look at the yearly
This is going to be a
NFL
quick one.
quarterbacks that have led the league in yards.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
And we're going all the way back to 1932.
I know 8
one.
quarterbacks.
1932. Would
So
you
this
like?
will be over quickly.
Yeah. Would you like to
Yeah.
start, or you
I'll-
want me to start?
I'll begin.
Okay.
Peyton Manning.
Yes. Not as many times as you'd think.
Don't say that. I was getting
Yeah.
confident.
Sure.
2 times.
Yeah.
That blows me away.
Really?
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino, 6 times. Oh, sorry, 5 times, including 4 in 5 years.
Yeah.
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, absolutely. I got 7 times for him, if I'm counting this correctly. Maybe 6. Including 3 in a row from 2014 to 2016.
Otto Graham.
We're going back a ways.
Go all the way back.
Oh, you know Otto's on this list.
For sure.
Automatic Otto.
Automatic.
Joe Montana.
What? West
Yeah,
Coast offense.
West
He was
Coast.
never a big yards guy.
What does
No.
West Coast offense even mean?
Short
Oh,
passes.
yeah.
Extension of the run game. Bill Walsh.
Yeah. Okay.
You disgust me over there.
We'll keep playing here.
We're talking another language right there, Matt.
Yeah, I don't get any of that.
Patty Mahomes. What? He didn't in 2019?
No. He did not
I'll
in
look it up
2019.
after.
Oh, I've got it right in front of me.
Whoa.
2019.
Boys, we're off to a rocky start here.
Now I'm going to get strikes just trying to get 2019.
Yep.
Josh Allen?
Jeepers.
This is going to be the shortest mono ever.
You guys stink.
There's guys at home that are just screaming. They're like, are you kidding me?
There's random ones, but there's some obvious ones.
Yeah, there's
too.
some obvious. Okay, Terry Bradshaw. From the 70s?
Come on.
Get out of
Come
here.
on.
Oh, my God.
Now I have to take it seriously.
You guys are in. I can't even believe this.
Oh my goodness.
Holy crap.
I feel like it's too obvious. Tom Brady?
Yes.
Okay.
A whole bunch of times. 4 times.
don't know.
Including last season.
You started the segment by talking about him, so I'm like, maybe he's messing with me and he's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Mark, there's pressure on you on this one.
No kidding. Okay. Aaron Rodgers.
No.
No way.
Matty.
I don't have to win it. I win first.
Oh, you did? Is that over?
Wait a second.
Hold on a minute.
This is nonsense.
Hold on a minute.
Just for both of us.
That was putrid. Boys,
Okay.
that was putrid.
So
Okay.
This is just passing yards?
This is just passing yards.
Okay. There's so many guys I left on.
Who would have been
Like,
You pull out
2019?
Auto Graham and then
I
you
know.
throw up 3 straight
like
strikes.
how I should have went Johnny Unitas. I mean, Johnny Unitas is going to be on here. Bart Starr is going to be on here.
Tell me like Jameis Winston's on there.
Yes, he's the one that you were thinking of, 2019.
Did
with Tampa Bay.
Because he threw the most interceptions that year,
30
too.
for 30. He had 30 and 30.
I'll take
So
that
here
as
we
my
go.
winning
Come
one.
on.
John Elway.
John Elway once.
Yeah. Boomer Esiason.
Let's go back to the heyday here.
Hmm.
Danny Fouts, 4 straight. Some random ones, though. Neil Lomax,
Who?
Yeah.
Lynn Dickey, Don Majowski,
Yeah.
Warren Moon. Hey, now. Drew Bledsoe. Nobody says Brett Favre.
Yeah, it's a big miss.
Mark Brunell. That one's random. Jeff George is
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
random.
The run and gun.
But you guys are, Kurt Warner laying it all on the line on the greatest show on turf.
Nobody say Big Ben?
Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Matt Schaub.
Matt Stafford?
I don't have him on here.
Did he not lead it that year?
No,
Wow.
I'm blown away.
That's awful.
Dante Culpepper.
We should actually cut this
No.
segment.
That's not awful. That's back-to-back wins for
That's-
Producer Matty in the Mono-E-Mono
Let's
showdown.
just paint it the right way and say that was a defensive battle.
Oh, my gosh.
No, that everybody scored on us.
Steve Berline.
Oh, wow. Steve Berline with Cincinnati?
At this point, he was actually with Carolina. They had picked him.
Oh, jeepers.
We have very, very rarely had the strike number and the correct answer number this close.
Oh, my God.
Fran Tarkenton, anybody?
Oh, sure.
Kenny Anderson?
I hate football.
How about Broadway Joe Namath? For only man to throw for 4,000 yards in a 14-game season.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Sonny Jurgensen?
Yeah.
George Blanda?
Blanda.
Hey, now.
Guy played 100 years.
Matt? Norm Van Brocklin?
Oh, yes, Van Brocklin.
You got to get Norm Van Brocklin gamer.
Inventor of the broccoli.
Sid Luckman with 1,826 yards. Led the league in 1946.
Yeah.
Slinging Sammy Baugh?
Those are the guys like Home Run Baker, who leads the league in home runs with 12.
That was embarrassing.
Oh, jeepers.
And now we have 5 minutes to kill.
Oh, jeez. Well, I could give you...
Let's do U.S. champions. Come on.
I could give you my sports oddity.
Yes.
Can I give you this? Did you ever hear... Get a load of this. Did you ever hear about how the movie Air Force One contributed to the Avalanche keeping Joe Sakic?
No.
No.
So this came across my radar, and I'm going to open an article because I think it was the anniversary the other day. It's NBC Sports. and I didn't remember this, Mark. You might have. Back in the offer sheet era, Joe Sakic was signed by the New York Rangers to a 3-year, $21 million restricted free agent offer. He signed it. Colorado had no way of matching it at that point. It just was not going to happen. So let me read directly from the article. Despite the Avalanche's on-ice success during their first 2 years in Colorado, they were losing money playing in an aging arena that lacked luxury suites and corporate dollars that could make them players in free agency. They were also a sitting duck for an offer sheet. They had lost $8 million as a franchise the previous season and had not yet moved into their new arena and were projected to continue losing money until the arena move at the start of 2000. So about 3 years. Mm-hmm. It's not just the $21 million price tag over 3 years that was problematic. It was the way the Rangers structured the offer. Sakic's annual salary was only $2 million per season, while the contract included a $15 million signing bonus up front. Sakic wanted to be in New York. The Rangers wanted him in New York, and the Avalanche seemed powerless to stop it. Harrison Ford saves the day. At this time, the Avalanche, which were owned by cash-strapped Ascent Entertainment, one of its subsidiaries was Beacon Entertainment, which helped finance the 1997 blockbuster movie Air Force One, in which Harrison Ford played the President of the United States and successfully fought off a group of terrorists that hijacked the president's plane. Good movie.
Yeah.
Beacon, and by extension, Ascent Entertainment, was in line to take 10% of the profits from the movie. It eventually grossed $315 million at the box office, including more than $37 million in its first week in theaters. That cut of the profits was enough for them to pay Sakic's contract and match the Rangers' offer to keep the superstar in Denver. Had the movie flopped, Sakic probably ends up in New York.
The blue shirt.
Here you go. Reception-wise, a Wall Street Journal poll in 2016 named Harrison Ford's James Marshall as the greatest fictional president of all time.
Get off my plane.
You could do an entire show on fictitious U.S. presidents. You can give me Michael Douglas from The American President as a 100% believable.
Bill Pullman, Independence Day?
No.
Michael Douglas came 11th on this list.
Get out of here. Shut that off. There's no way.
Independence Day.
Can I give you a sports oddity? We got time for that? Quick or not
Keep
really?
firing. Like we're down to a minute.
You want to talk about the record machine. Get familiar with Tony Hand. Tony Hand is the Scottish Wayne Gretzky. He had 12 straight 50-goal seasons. He had 4 200-plus point seasons. 12 straight 50-goal seasons. And he never had a season where he played more than 44 games.
Sports oddities, we bringing it to you.
Hot every week.
I like it.
This has been the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production. It is available wherever you do your downloading and simulcast on your TV, Peterborough, Lindsay. Come down and hang out with us, too. You can always check us out at the Capital PTBO at 370 George Street. If you want to support the show, do so at patreon.com/Capital PTBO. For Mark Million and producer Matty, I'm Jordan Mercier. We will talk again next week and hopefully do better at Mano a Mano.